You have positions here, which is your department. You can just create a department on the fly if you feel like it. So if you click on this button, you can create a new department with a new name. In this case, it's accounting. You can tie it to a parent department, for example, administration, and you can also link a manager. And then you can save all of it, and then it's already recorded in the system, so it's pretty easy to configure a department on the go, as to say. You have a job title that you can configure right here too. Let's say accountant. You can tie to a department, for example, the accounting. A recruitment responsible, you can set a specific email address, and of course tie a job location. You can save it, and then yeah, you have the manager here. You can link the coach if you want to, and you have the working hours. You can configure that yourself too. Clicking here, basically you have a very detailed overview of your shift. So you have, for example, Monday morning, day of the week, Monday, and then you define the precise working hours that you have here. So from 8 till 12, and then from 1 to 5 for after lunch break. And you can customize your work week. So if you wanted to, you could give individual work weeks for employees as well. Then we have the appraisal button here. We're going to get back to that later as we look at the appraisals app. For now, let's skip that. You have personal information, so you can tie nationality, passport, bank account, gender, also maybe the marital status if it's important, the home address, personal settings basically. Then you have the HR. Here an important field is the related user, so you can directly tie the employee that you have in the system to an actual user that's using the platform as well. Right now there's only me on the system, but once you have all your employees on Odoo, it's an easy way to configure this. Now, the current contract, you can put in the extras that you give, as to say, for example, the company vehicle, home, working time, medical examinations, and so on. Let's save this. And now you can see here you have the smart tabs. You can see contracts linked to it. For now, we don't have any. You can see appraisals. That's going to come later. And you also see how many remaining leaves the employee can still take. If you click into the contracts, for now it's empty. However, you can create a contract yourself. For example, an accountant contract. You have a job title, which is the accountant. You have the department that it's linked to, and the contract type. In this case, it's an employee. You can also have worker and subcontractor. You can, of course, make your own contract type, which is basically a text line field. Well, now let's set it to employee. Then the information. You have your hourly wage. Let's put that to 50. And you have the durations, for example, if you have a certain trial duration, if you have a limited contract, maybe for a year, or you can, of course, again, schedule the working hours. Here's space for notes in case you'd like to make any notes to it. And then we can also save this. Now, we can click back and we see now we have one contract linked to our employee Mickey Mouse. Down here you can log internal notes. That's for yourself to see. It's like a virtual post-it, as to say. And then you have the messages. And from there you can send emails directly to the employee. Alright, that's the employee form. Of course, you can afterwards have restricted access. Of course, I'm here logged in under the administrator mode, so I can see basically everything. I can see the whole database. If you want to give restricted access to your employees afterwards, of course, that's possible. You don't have to have all your employees being able to view all of that information. Another thing I'd like to show you are the tags, which is a rather important tool. You can use tags to filter your employees according to, well, certain parameters that are important to you personally. For example, you can put in that Mickey Mouse is a trainee, or you can put in that he's an accountant. Like that, you just type it in, you create a tag that's called accountant, and maybe you want to put it in a nice color. We save this, and from now you can filter according to the tag you just created. So click on the small plus in the search bar, you click on filters, and now we add a custom filter. We put tags, and it should contain, for example, the word accountant. And now you have a list of all your employees that are accountants. Now you can save it, employees, accountants. And from there you have now a pre-configured filter, a custom-made one that you can always select in case you need to view specific information pooled together. That's about it for the employee app. Under the configuration, you have your company working hours, and here you have your departments, the single departments that we just created on the go. You see the accounting here. Pre-configured, we have the administration and the sales. You could now create a new department, same thing as we just saw. And here you have your contracts again. We should put in your whole list of contracts in this case. Alright, that's the baseline for the employee app. Next, I'd suggest we look at the leaves app. So this is your tool for planning your employee vacations. Here we see we already have some employee vacations planned, and you have, let's say, your visual representation of all of it, simply because we can make a leave request if we wanted to. We can click on My Leaves. Excuse me. And we can directly file for a leave request. Now let's go to the next month, because this month is already almost over. You can click on the day, on the week, or on the whole month. In this case, you can simply click and drag, and from there you can create a new leave. You can describe it, for example, holiday. And then you can put a leave type. For example, your legal leaves, your sick leaves, or the extra holidays that we just assigned. Or you can also put an unpaid. You have all the freedom here. Then you can set the duration. For now, it's already pre-configured because we just dragged it across the calendar. And then we have the employee, which you can tag here. Let's assign it to Mickey Mouse. And then already assigns the correct department. So you can see how nicely the apps actually work together here. You can make a comment. Extra days assigned for good work. And we can save this. And we have a pre-configured leave, which overlaps. So let's just put it into the next month. Like this. Alright. So now if I delete the filter My Requests, which is only my personal requests as the administrator here, I can see all holidays planned. Here in September we have some holidays that I put in before, and then we can skip to the next month, and you can also have an overview of the next month. For example, the leave we just configured. Yeah, and then you can, as administrator, of course, you have your leaves to approve. So you click into the leaves. For now, there's now you delete the filter, and for now there's all these requests that we have made, or that I have made before. And then as administrator, you click yourself into the list, you work your way through the list, and you approve or maybe not. We can, for example, take this holiday here, and you can click yourself into it. You see the comments, you see maybe some internal notes. You can reset it to draft in case you decide not to approve. You can refuse it straight out, or you can click on approve, and then it's approved, and the holiday is now officially in the system. And that's the way you work with this. Then, of course, you have the reporting. You have, for example, leave details, which gives you a quick overview of the status and the reasons of the leaves. You can have the actual leaves. This is your leaves in numbers, basically. And from there, you have different parameters that you can apply. You have, for example, the creation date or the description. You can apply different measures here. And of course, you can have a graphical representation of all of it. Here's our graph. Then you have this, and you can also have a pie chart of the leaves that you have configured by now. So 50% of the leaves so far have gone to Mickey Mouse. This is the Leaves app, in short. Basically, that's it. So, if we click back into the dashboard, we can now go to the actual appraisals and the survey. So if we click into the appraisals, this is our standard campaign view that we have configured. Here you have, well, for now it's empty, but here you have the appraisals that you need to start. Then here you have the appraisals that have been sent. And then, of course, you have the ones that are finished and the ones that are canceled. So now we can create an appraisal or a survey. And we can directly tag it to an employee. This is basically the way we link a survey that we're going to create to an employee. We have a certain deadline that you can apply. Let's maybe not put it for today, but for in 2 weeks. And you can have a final interview on the 15th afterwards. Then you can plan it. We're going to get back to that later because we, for now, don't have the survey configured. That was just to show you how the appraisal baseline is set. Now let's click into the surveys. And from here, you have the same campaign view, essentially. And now we can create a survey. Survey title, we could call it, appraisal for employees. And afterwards, if you wanted to, you could also configure an appraisal for the managers, who in turn get to rate the employees. Now, we can straight away save this, or we can add a page and a page title. Basically, the page is the topics, as to say, and under those pages, you group your questions. So we could add a page, for example, basic information, which is basically the first page you get in every survey, which is what is your name, for example, or what is your job position. Now, if we add this question here, you firstly, you name the question. Let's say, what's your name? And then here you have several types of questions. So you have a multi-line box, which is essentially a box where you can write whole text. You can have a single line text box, which is the box that we'd use in this case, which is just a line like this, where you put in your name, and that's it. You can also have numerical values, where you can put numbers in. You can have a date and time, which allows you to maybe ask a question such as, when did you start in this company? And then the employee goes and assigns a specific date. You can have multiple choice with only one answer, or you can have multiple choice with multiple answers allowed. For example, if you want to give different parameters for the employees to tick, for example, what is the most important aspect about the working environment here for you? And they can tag several things. Or you can have the metrics, which is basically rows and columns, and from there you can put in certain parameters and rate them from 1 to 5. We'll get back to that later on. We're going to configure a question like that. For now, we add a single line text box because we just need to type in our name. Now we can save and create a new question. Maybe your job position, which is also a single line text box. We can save and close this, and we can just leave. It requires an answer. You're free to configure whatever message you'd like in here. And then you can also configure the matrix type. So you have one choice per row, or you have multiple choices per row. Essentially, in this case, we'd leave it at one choice per row because it wouldn't make sense to have different values in one row. You can also show a comments field if you wanted to, and you can specify a message. Save and close, and we can save and close this too. And now we can make a third page. For example, for comments. If you want to give the person the opportunity, as with most surveys, to make a final comment on questions that have been asked, or just anything they'd like to note afterwards, please comment on the questions in the survey if needed. And here we'd select the multi-line text box, which enables people to actually write their opinion or their comments on the past questions. Save and close this too. And now we can save it. From there, we see it's now a draft. You can put it to in progress. Then afterwards, you see also if it's if it has been closed, or it can be a permanent survey. So now you can share and invite by email, but first maybe we want to design the survey. So we click on design, and from here you can start the survey. So now we have name, position, and manager. So our basic information, this is our first page. You can click on edit at the top right, and you see here now you have certain building blocks that allow you to just give it a bit more of a personal touch, or just a bit of a nicer appearance. So you could put in a cover. You can also put a message box. You have several building blocks here. Essentially, you could maybe also put maybe an FAQ in case people want to know maybe how long does this take, what do I need, can I skip answers, can I maybe go back, etc. For now you can maybe add a title, appraisal 2017, and from there you can modify all of the lines that you've put in, all the questions, in terms of appearance, in terms of extra information. For example, you could put in another text box and specify that they should be, well, maybe as concise as it gets, that they should not use the arrows up here in the browser, only the buttons down here, etc. You can save this. And this is what it looks like. And the button back to survey takes you back to your back end, to the survey. Now, you can share this and invite people by email. You have several options. You can either share just publicly. You can send a public web link, or you can send a private invitation to your audience. In this case, let's send a private invitation. And then here you put your list of emails. I'll just put myself in, just to show you what it looks like when you fill out the actual survey. So we can send this. And now I go back to my own mails. And from there we received the invitation mail. This is what it looks like. Of course, you can modify what the template looks like. We haven't modified it for now. You can click on the purple button, and then you can start the survey. This is what it looks like for the people who actually receive the survey in the end. Name. I'll put in my name, job position, and the manager. And we can go to the next page. Now we can rate our qualities and go to the next page. And we submit the survey. This is what it looks like. And now we can head back to our back end and we click back into the surveys. If it is loading, we click back into the surveys. 1 second. It's gonna take a short moment. Now, we're back in the appraisal for employees. And here on the new green button, you can view your results because now we have had one person who has filled it in already. Yeah, this is what it looks like. You have your quality appraisal, so the different qualities for now, as only one person filled it in, it looks rather blank, but you can imagine as you have more and more people filling out the survey, you have a nice also graphical representation of the answers. You can also just view the data in percentages, so you see exactly the answers I gave here. And you have the comments. So person 1 commented a smiley. And essentially this is the survey tool. Now, 2, one for our colleague Mickey Mouse and one for Ms. Lannister. And you can use your parameters, for example, which department is it referencing to, which status is it in currently, and of course at the top right you have your graphical representation of all of it. That's it for the appraisal. Now, we should take a look at the expenses tool. Expenses you use, for example, when you have employees that are on the road maybe and for work purposes, and you would want to record these expenses to maybe later reimburse your employees, for example, for a flight ticket or for a restaurant visit with your future customer. Things like that. You click into the expenses. And here you see for now it's empty. Let's click on configuration and settings, and from here you can directly configure an email address over which employees can configure their expenses. So essentially this is a function that an employee maybe on the way to the office even can send you an email specifying already in the subject header, which we'll see in a second, what needs to be expensed, what has been done essentially, and it will automatically create an expense in the Odoo backend. It's really practical. Now we can tag this, we can save it, and from there I click back into the expenses, and under the configuration we can also now record expense products. For example, here I recorded a flight. Yeah, we can, in this case, I record a lunch meeting. Product type here is a service. It's important. The cost for now is not really important because usually the expense costs vary with with every cost you record. So for now, let's just leave it empty. But here the internal reference is really important because this is the reference that your employees will use in the end to send emails to you and for also Odoo to record it correctly in the backend. So in this case, let's say maybe a meal. And you can tie it directly to an expense account and to vendor taxes. Now, let's save it. And from there, an employee basically is able to record an expense. Okay, let's click into my emails. And let's record an expense, actually. So, Odoo interprets the subject line to fill the expense fields. So, you put the internal reference in brackets, and we put the meal, which allows Odoo to assign it to the correct product, or to the correct expense product that we've just configured. So, we put in, for example, meeting with client. That basically is the description of all of it. And then afterwards you put the price. The price you put directly in numbers without the currency at the end. Recipients. I need to click back into it. What the expense at this. In the description box you have notes that you can add to the email body. For example, you can specify meeting with client X in cafe Y to close the sale. Now you can send this, and if we click back into our expenses, we have now the meeting with the client, which has been sent in automatically through an email. So you can see it's really easy in the end for your employees to submit the expenses. You can click into this and you see, okay, this is the internal reference, the product. You can directly go to the product over this view, and you have the price here, you have the quantity, and if you want, you can also directly attach a document. For example, if you have a photo of the bill, your employee can directly put that into the email and it will land in your documents as well. And then you can submit it to the manager. And now we save this, and given that I myself am the administrator, I can now also go ahead and approve. The next step would be to validate the expense and post it as a journal entry. So this is the accountant that would take over, and they would register the payment through the post journals entries button. So to post job offers and to directly receive candidates or candidate forms into the Odoo backend, and to then manage them in the following. So go into configurations, settings, and then you can for once activate the online posting. You can have interview forms. We'll save it and get back to that now. And from there you can manage the forms essentially. So it's loading for a second. And we'll click back into the recruitment, back into settings, and here you have your forms, which is basically also configured with the surveys. Another, let's say, an online form that you post to your website, and from there potential candidates can go and fill out, and once it's filled out, it directly creates another entry in here. Alright, so we click back into the job positions. For now, we have the accountant. Let's create another job position, for example, a sales executive, and the job mail would be sales@odoo7.odoo.com. This is the email address that candidates can also post, actively send their applications to. So we create this, and we have the sales executive here. Now, you can have your settings right from here. So you can tag a department, which is the sales department, the responsible for the recruitment, in this case that would be me, and you can define how many employees you'd like to hire. Let's say we set this to 4, and you can put a job description in here. You have an interview form. Let's put the recruitment form. You can display it in a second. And you have the job location. Again, the standard configuration here is your actual company. In this case, it's Odoo. Now, this is the basic recruitment form that you can have. Of course, you can modify it. You can also directly edit it the way we saw before. And You can save this. And you can see the recruitment is now in process. For now, it's not published on the website, but for example, you can click on it. And then you can see this is the view that any potential employee or any candidate has once he logs onto the job page. We can post it now, and then it's published, so they see their responsibilities, their challenges. Again, you modify all of this according to which text you want to put in. You describe the job, and yeah, you basically sell it to them a bit, and from here you have the Apply Now button. For example, we fill in the email, your phone number, and you write a short introduction or what have you if you want to apply. Then you upload your resume and you submit all of it. Now if we log back into the back end, you'll see that we have a new application in here. So we have the application that we just filled in. If we click into it and click on edit, you can see this is the name, this is the application, and now again you can work with tags. Maybe if you would want to give them a trainee tag or a prospect tag or anything like, you can put in here and afterwards filter accordingly. Okay, you have your contact information, mobile, the degree may be important, a master's degree in this case. The application source, you can tag how they found you, over which medium they found you, by, and then the job specifications. You have which is or what is the job they applied for, and then the department. And the contract, of course, the expected salary, maybe with extra advantages such as a company car, and the proposed salary. The availability. For example, if you have a candidate who's currently finishing her master's degree and can only start from the 1st of October, this is a great way to tag it. And then in summary, maybe you can add a note. Finishes studies. Now, we can save this. And from there, you have your, let's say the Kanban view, but for now we haven't defined any stages. So now what we can do, we can click onto a new stage, and we can say, okay, we want to start out with a first phone call. Then we have a second call, maybe a first interview, the interview with the manager. And from there, you can create 2 sections with you always have them available, and you have all your applicants. So you can either view them job posting specific, so you can over the job posting see who applied for the sales executive position, who applied for the accounting position, or you can just see the total number of your applications in this case. Yeah, of course you have your reporting as well. We saw it by now, so I won't get into detail here, but just so you know, the reporting is basically in every application that we have. And back here, you see your job positions. That is essentially the recruitment. So this is your HR, your HR tool. You have employees, you have recruitment, you have leaves, expenses, and appraisal, which goes together with the surveys. Alright, so now let's take a look at the questions that you sent. Are unpaid leave deducted from salary on the payroll? It's a question of configuration usually. You can certainly put it in a way that it will be deducted from the payroll. Yeah, you'll need to see maybe activate the developer mode and from there it's possible to configure it like that. Concrete care. Can public holidays be imported? Sure, you can always import files. You can go on leaves. You have the import tab here. So basically, as soon as you have the import template that you can find on our Odoo homepage, you can configure the public holidays and import them over a CSV or an Excel file and import them straight into your leaves type database. Daniel D asked, why can't you delete a sales order line? It doesn't apply to the HR setting right now, but generally speaking, you can make a quotation for any product you'd like to sell. But once it becomes a sales order and once it is, let's say, posted in your system, it's not possible to modify it because once you have an invoice, maybe that's what you're referring to, legally it's not allowed to modify it. So once you've posted a invoice, there's certain standards that we need to adhere to, and one of them is that once you've openly posted an invoice into your system, you cannot modify it afterwards. Yeah, that's it. Hi, for the trial period, the employee doesn't get salary. I'm not sure what exactly you would want to. So basically, you want to configure it in a way that during the trial period, the employee does not get paid. Again, that plays together with the payroll, and you'll have to set your settings accordingly in the payroll. All right. Are there any other questions for the moment? Nothing. All right, then at this point I'd finish. Thank you for watching, and have fun testing Odoo. Bye.